Boomer Sooner.
Ball's out, rolling around on the turf. Sooners recover. Looks right, wants to throw, does. It's intercepted. Intercepted. He's under pressure. He lobs end zone. Touchdown.
This is the Riverwind Casino Coach's Corner on the Sooner Sports Network from Learfield. Presented by Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. Also brought to you by Dos Equis, official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. And by Walden Cleaners. Walden Cleaners and Laundry, where the difference is quality. This is the Riverwind Casino Coach's Corner. Here are your hosts, Chris Plank and Gabe Ikerd.
Welcome inside the Coach's Corner, and we are pumped to be joined by Emmett Jones, Sooners wide receivers coach.
What's up, man?
Congrats on the win Saturday.
Thank
that was
you very
great.
much.
Looking back, how'd you feel like your guys performed?
I thought they played well, especially without the ball. The guys was trying to dominate on the perimeter, get into their fits and sustain it. That's one thing we've been talking about, being the guy that initiate contact and sustain it and holding on to it. And see if they can carry over this week also, too.
I definitely want to talk about some of the plays your guys made in the passing game, but maybe my favorite play from an individual in the entire football game against Maine was Brennan Thompson coming in, cracking the safety on the 74-yard run. What does it mean to you when you emphasize those things in practice and then you see your guy go out there and make a difference as a blocker like he was?
Just reassure the buy-in, as part of your everyday drills. You do it all the time, so it becomes natural. And then you like to see him get it done in a situation like he did out in the game. That makes the younger guys see the fruit of the labor, and it makes the whole room step up and be excited about, the work that we put in Monday through Thursday, and put it on display Saturday.
We want to talk about your guys, but I wanted to talk about you for a moment. Brent Venables paid high praise in the SEC teleconference for how you've handled, unprecedented. You lose your top 5 guys at any position, and the coach would be losing their mind. You've stayed focused. You kept your guys prepared. For you personally, it's got to be unlike anything you've ever gone through, Coach, with these injuries. But how have you been able to handle it? What's kind of kept you focused?
Well, coming from the high school ranks, there's times when you had to field players. You had to go down to the gym and find a couple of guys, to complete your 9th grade team or your junior varsity team. You have some skilled guys out there. What made it easier here? You're still coaching Power 5 athletes here at Oklahoma. So all those guys had some type of success on the high school level, and and I believe in every last one of those guys. But the main thing I told those guys, you can only control what you can control. Just stick to the course, and everything will work itself out.
The injuries have been just extremely unfortunate in your room.
Yeah.
However, what are the odds one of those guys, 2 of those guys are back this week? I know that it may be, I'm assuming it's a game time decision with both Jalil Farooq and Deion Burks, but what have you seen from those guys in preparation this week?
Man, just eagerness, excitement, explosiveness, locked in the classroom, locked in on the football field, excited about being back around the guys, excited about catching balls from Jackson and Mike Hawkins, and putting their skill set on display at practice also too. Then also being with the young guys, being a leader with the young guys also too, and being someone that can demonstrate how things should operate, how things work at practice with those guys. But those guys are fired up and looking forward to play. I've been seeing nothing but different type of playmakers out on the football field.
I think what's been really cool too, and again, Gabe and I have a very cool, unique perspective being down there on the sidelines with you guys for the radio network. Farooq, Gibson, seeing those guys still involved and around, even though they can't play, to be an ear, to be another eye for you. Deion Burks as well. What's it been like to still have them around and engaged? It's, sometimes they can't be there on road trips and things of that nature, but when it's a home game, they're there. That's gotta mean a lot to you that they're still engaged.
Yeah, it's a different perspective coming from, an experienced player.
Right.
Especially when you got a young guy, a true freshman coming off the field. Of course, he's hearing some things from me, but then when you hear it from your big brothers, it kind of hit a little different. It feels different. Guys that have been in those moments, and they're telling you some secrets, some tips that you could use once you go back and go through that same type of moment again. But it all been nothing but just boosted on the sideline, honestly.
J.J. Hester, he's battled injuries throughout his career since he's been in Oklahoma. finally getting his opportunity, has been able to stay healthy. Just what type of improvement have you seen from JJ?
From just nothing but confidence. He always have believed in himself, but he's at a high level when it comes to belief now. And he's a leader also too in the room. Man, he's been working hard ever since spring. But taking all those reps, spring, summertime, and throughout the season. But his confidence level is so high. He expects to make those type of plays on a consistent basis. I just keep feeding him. You got more plays to make, man. Don't ever get comfortable. There's more out there for you. Go get it. Let's move on to the next one. Keep doing it. But congrats becoming in the record books here at the University of Oklahoma.
Longest pass play, longest pass reception by Sooner in the history of Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium.
That's hard to believe, man.
Right?
That is hard to believe.
Cool record to have.
Right on.
J.J. Hester's name will be there until someone can surpass it. Where have you seen his biggest growth? Like, in other words, we haven't had a chance to talk to him a ton. We talked to him post-Auburn, awesome. We talked to him post-game Maine, awesome kid. So you know he has the communication ability. Where have you seen his biggest improvement?
Like I said, confidence, especially in crucial moments.
Right.
Perimeter blocking, route running, and doing the things on a day-to-day basis on the back end to make sure that his body and his mental is good to go when practice does come later on in the evening, which carry over to the game. But definitely has improved tremendously when it comes to route running.
Looking at the offense as a whole, a couple weeks ago, Coach Venables made a difficult decision. Joe John Finley takes over as the play caller. What has that transition been like for you and for the guys in your room? Because every guy calls plays differently. And I feel like you guys have gotten to some things that have really emphasized Jackson Arnold's strengths in the passing game.
Yeah. He's cut from that same cloth of what we went through last season. And, he speaks with confidence. The guys look up to him. They love to hear him talk. They're excited about seeing the install, the game script. Then, like I say, just the confidence, man, and his mindset and how he talked to the guys also, too, as far as what we're going to do and the belief that he gives those guys as far as scoring touchdowns every drive and, creating explosive plays.
I'm curious, as the passing game coordinator too, we're watching the highlights of the big pass play to J.J. Hester. We can talk about receivers, and we got more to talk about coming up in our next segment and even a preview of Missouri. But I'm curious, what have you seen from Jackson Arnold in a guy that's overcome a lot this year?
He's a different guy now. It seemed like once he sat down those few weeks, he stayed the course. He was still Jackson, still doing what he had to do on a day-to-day basis. But when that moment came for him, he threw that touchdown to Brennan against South Carolina. I just kept going back to the moment when he was celebrating out on the football field. He said, "Coach, I had to let it go. But just a different level of belief in himself now. That swag, that mindset, for success.
How do you think him having that confidence, how do you think that affects the rest of the offense? Maybe the entire football team.
It just boosts everybody up, make everybody want to turn it up a whole nother level, make the wideouts want to play extra hard for them, the O-line want to strain a little bit harder for them also too. Then it makes those adults, who's putting the stuff together, putting the game plan together, make guys, I don't want to say excited again about, coming up and creating a plan, but, just having belief that it's going to get done. Just like we was talking today, this place should be a touchdown, this is a touchdown, this is a touchdown. I just miss talking like that. That was something that we did all the time last season.
We're expecting some weather this week. So final thought for our first segment. Do you do anything different with planning with your guys whenever we had it last week against Maine, but the game time moved up and fit perfectly in the window. But is there anything you do in a turf field a little different than a grass field whenever we're expecting wet weather on Saturday?
No, you just address the elements, but other than that, just go out and play ball, man. Whatever makes you comfortable, whatever makes you feel like you can go get it done, go get it done. If it's the gloves, certain type of cleats you need, go get it done. We take those shields off. Don't want any distractions, anything setting us back or holding us back. So now I just address the elements, what we're facing. Let's go get it done.
All right, we got one more segment with Emmett Jones, Brandon Hall right around the corner. You're inside the Coach's Corner, presented by River.
Coach's Corner is brought to you by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards.
Orthodontics Exclusively is a proud sponsor of the Junior Captain of the Game. Junior Captain is the ultimate fan experience for children 6 to 12. Bob Moore Ford is proud to honor service members through the Patriot of the Game, Chick-fil-A. Download the Chick-fil-A app and order your favorites ahead of time.
2nd and 10. Arnold to throw again. Can't find anybody. Backs his way into the end zone. Rolling right. Going to let it chunk deep downfield. Right sideline. Got it. It's caught on the run. JJ. 35-30. Hits a race. JJ. 90 yards. Touchdown. Oh, mama. JJ Hester. 90 yards. Jackson Arnold put it on a pillow for him, and he outraced the cornerback to the end zone.
So, Coach Jones, that's off a scramble drill, right? And, in hearing JJ talk about a post-game with us on Saturday, that's something you guys work on quite a bit. How rewarding is it to see it executed like that?
Oh, you talk about it. I remember showing those guys a few clips when I was with Pat Mahomes. Like, sometimes we just used to call 4 verticals and hope the pocket break down because scramble drill was a favorite play.
That's a good play for that guy.
So you just drill that, and you instill that in their mindset when that pocket break down. It's an opportunity to make a huge play, and we work on it all the time. So and to see it work, it just make guys want to do it even more. When that moment comes up, be where they need to be at when the quarterback moves.
Looking at the offense as a whole, I assume still not where you guys want to be when it comes to explosive plays in the passing game. What do you think is the key to getting more of those explosive plays in the throw game?
Just stand ahead of schedule. Don't get behind the chains. It's all about creating, getting it first down so we can go. And so we can keep, really be explosive and start pushing the ball downfield. But just executing, operating the script, and not falling behind the chains, staying ahead of the schedule, and dictating how the games go. Don't let the game dictate how we should go. We want to dictate how the game go.
One of the coolest stories this season has been the emergence of Jacob Jordan. Mm-hmm. We had Jay Valai on last week, and he was telling us a story how he used to train him back whenever he was, in like 5th grade and coached his flag football team. What have you seen from that young man getting an opportunity and taking advantage of it?
Really, man, he just staying the course. He's always been dialed in ever since he's been here. He came last spring, so, and the older guys identified him day one once they saw him move around, like in fundamentals. But the way he carried himself in the classroom, man, he's a detailed guy. It's a thesis statements of notes on his iPad every day coming from the position room once we have our position meetings. He's a confident guy. My challenge to him before the season started was getting stronger and holding up on the perimeter when it comes to blocking. And that's something that he worked on. He understands leverage. He understands the game. Very smart, cerebral football player, confident, and it gets higher each week. He wants every rep. No matter who's available, he wants to take every rep out on the football field.
One of the things that stood out to me about Jacob Jordan is his ability to get open kind of in the intermediate area of the field. And it's led to some interesting timing throws for Jackson where I think he really likes the rhythm of some of those things. Yeah. How important is Jacob Jordan and kind of adding that component to this offense?
It's needed. You saw Drake Stoops last year. That's why I liked him at the place that I was before I came here, because the spot that he was going to play is a very important position. And that position is still important here. To me, he's almost like the quarterback of the receiver room, especially out on the football field, playing that slot. A lot of stuff go through that guy. You have to make guys right. You need to be where you're supposed to be at, and I expect for him to be that coach out on the football field in certain situations. But he's just so cerebral and have a high IQ for the game. And just been putting it on display and getting rewarded. Real
quick before we get your thoughts on Missouri, a lot of young guys have been pressed into action pretty quickly. Zon Kearney, Reagans, Ivan Carrion. How have you seen that young crew really accept the challenge where many of them could have played anyway, right? But still to see, you're gonna play.
Yeah. Every week, those guys, the buy-in raise higher and higher and higher. You can tell the confidence is rising up. Now they're starting to feel some of their big brothers back out on the football field, dressing out and practicing with them, and the growth is there. After the 6th game, I told them, I said, you're new players anymore. You know, you're not high school guys. You know what college football tastes like. You know what it feels like being out on the road, being an underdog. I just need you guys to keep on maturing all around the game, not only on the field or in the classroom, but you got to do the extra stuff also too away from the field that's going to help your body.
I know you are all about toughness and physicality at the wide receiver position. Brennan Thompson was dealing with something in the main game. What do you think it meant to the rest of the guys in your room that he played through all of that and was giving everything he had for his team?
Yeah, that's what we talk about, playing through pain. This time of the year, playing in this conference, everybody's banged up. You know, just that mindset you got to have, you know, getting used to playing through whatever I have to go, whatever I'm going through. You know, if it's not that major, you know, some stuff you can't play through, but if there's like a knick-knack, you know, that you can fight through, push forward, you know, that just trickles down to everybody in that room also too.
I'm just in awe of how he's become a complete receiver, right? What's that process been like for Brennan Thompson to be more than just a burner, which he can still do, but to become a complete receiver?
You know, that was the cloud that circled around him. You know, just a fast track guy. You know, not too tough. Won't last long in this conference. And he wanted to prove everybody wrong. You know, I tell him all the time, man, all you gotta do is act like mama. Boy, you probably have one of the toughest mamas I've ever talked to. You know? You got the blood in you, man. But that was a challenge to himself also too. You know, as far as want to show everybody that he can hang. It's 70 plays, 80 plays, playing 4 quarters of just physical football without, you know, having to tap in and out.
Big one on Saturday. Mm-hmm. What has stood out to you about Missouri's defense as you guys prepare for this football game?
Well, they get out there with up front. You know, they're a sound unit. You know, one of the top teams in the country, top defenses in the country. You know, especially when it comes to third downs. You know, they know to get people on and off the field. You know, so that's why our plan have to be perfect when it comes to those third down situations, and we want to stay ahead of the chain. You know. But those guys, they get out there and have some experienced guys all around that defense, and we just got to execute the script, do what we need to do every play. You know, when it starts at point A, point A, and at point B. You know, so we just need to strain those 6 seconds and just play with discipline, play OU football.
Anything kind of jump out at you with their secondary as you've been scouting? Looks like they got some big physical dudes back there.
Yeah, they try to keep everything in front of them. You know, they sound, play a lot of football games. You know, but other than that, that's it.
Going on the road. It's my opinion. I feel like this team's played a little bit better on the road this year. And Auburn played well in Oxford. What have you seen from the mindset of this Sooner team when they're on the road, maybe embracing being the villain, being the bad guy, if you will?
I mean, it starts with your leader, Coach Venables. You know, he stressed that road dog mentality. You know, and we've been talking about it every day. You know, he just instills confidence in coaches and everybody, and players and everybody related to that program. When it comes to what we need to do, what we're going to do tomorrow, what we're going to do during the game, he speaks it all, man, and it starts for him. And we love being challenged on the road. We love everything it's all about it, you know.
Got back into the win column.
Yeah.
What's the sense you get as the guys prepare this week? Like, I have to imagine this is a group. There's been kind of this reset, especially offensively. I have to imagine this team's really excited for this opportunity on Saturday.
Right on, man. It's just the energy and the belief throughout the huddle, throughout the offensive sideline. Defense has always had the juice, always had those guys over there just so confident. Now the offense is trying to catch up with those guys when it comes to just playing confident football, being excited in the huddle, and just speaking about dominating guys, you know, every play, you know. So the unit love how it tastes, you know, they're being back in the W column. So we need to try to get back.
Real quick, Jacoby Johnson, how's he handled working both sides? We still see him a little bit at receiver too. You like having him in that room every now and then?
You know, he's a natural. He has a natural skill set when it comes to attacking the ball. Twitchy, fast, explosive guy. You know, so just like to utilize his skill set when he does come over. You know, and you know he do a good job as far as sharing time with the DBs to come over with the wide outs on and off the field. You know, so he bought in well when it came to making those transitions.
Good luck Saturday night. Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Fitzsimmons Jones, Brandon Hall. We're going to talk some safeties coming up next inside the Coach's Corner. Coach's Corner rolls on from the offense to the defense. Brandon Hall joins us, safeties coach, and solid defensive performance. I know you've put it well in the rear view, but some thoughts on the win over Maine from last week, Coach?
I think the biggest thing was the third quarter. We had emphasized that. I know Coach Alley, Coach Venables had talked about coming out of the locker room in the second half, and something that we had not done well the previous few games. Kind of started off a little lethargic, but once we got going after the second and third drive, all the way through halftime and then through the third quarter, I felt like our guys were in control of the game, and that's something that we've emphasized all week long. So we got to start faster in the second half and come out and keep control of the game. It's something against Ole Miss that we felt like we'd done well in the second half, but obviously let things get out of control in the third quarter. And we emphasized it, and obviously we had great results because of that.
The competition was what it was, but I know that going into the game, one of the things that you guys really wanted to see was the miscommunication in the back end and some of the explosives that had resulted from that. You wanted to see that be eliminated entirely.
Right.
Do you feel like that's what you saw against Maine?
At times, again, we had the big play in the first drive, and then towards the end of the game we gave up a big play as well. But in between there was a large portion of time where our guys were able to control the game, and explosive plays that play a big part of that, and that's something that we've emphasized. Regardless of who you play, you still got to line up, you still got to tackle, right? And offenses are always going to have the pin last, but that's the great thing about college football. Being a coach is you have to be able to make adjustments on the fly. Something that I felt like we did. The big play in the second half, we had guys in position to make the play. They just didn't, and that's something we got to do a better job of as coaches to get guys to finish plays. But overall, we're really pleased as a staff about, had a chance to really dominate the game statistically up until the last drive. And obviously that leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and the head coach who puts an emphasis on the little things, he wanted us to finish a lot better than we did.
Speaking of late, you did get to rotate a lot of the young guys in. Great experience for them, but overall, we were talking to Emmett Jones about his young guys who are playing regardless. Yours have some veteran guys in front of them. How did the young guys perform when they got a chance?
Good. It's always difficult when you're an 18-year-old and you get in front of 90,000 fans. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing. You know what I mean? And realizing that the game field and the practice field are the same size. You just gotta avoid the distraction that you can allow yourself to get into, and that's the biggest thing for us. We've got some talented freshmen that practice hard, that play on special teams, that deserve to play. And so when you get in those opportunities where you can get those guys in there and get them the experience, one, it allows the fans to see the future, but two, it gets those guys in a position mentally to where they can have a greater impact in the future in a lot quicker way.
Does Boganowski just try to kill someone every time he hits him?
Yeah, like I tell people all the time, it's like I'm a big analogy guy. You guys know this, and so like our head coach is always yelling at him to thud, to stay under control, and I'm like, no one ever asked Mark McGuire to bunt. You know what I'm saying? And so like, I don't know if I can explain it in any better way, right? I mean, the guy went up there and he was
just what he does, man.
And what's amazing to me is if he's never missed a tackle. If you'll really pay attention, he's the most gifted. I mean, probably Roy Williams, and I'm not wanting to put him in that category as far as accolades, but when you see him tackle, his angles are just so good.
Jeez. That should be targeting on the running back, by the way.
He does that in practice, going all the way back to the day he got here. I actually talked to him more about, the safety of tackling and how to tackle properly, probably more than any player that I've ever seen, because he's a guy that can have a huge impact on this team for years to come, and his health and his shoulders.
Shoulders.
You can ask him. We talking about him again yesterday. You going into inside drill or whatever, and I'm like, hey man, this would be a really good opportunity for you to work on just staying in a position of control, and Coach Venables obviously screaming, hey, you got a thud, and I'm like, oh god, here we go. You asked for it, you know what I mean? And so,
bow. Oh my god.
A couple plays later, we're ambulance sirens are going off, but he's got an amazing talent. He's one of the best open field tacklers that I've seen in 24, 25 years of college football.
This segment, by the way, brought to you by Community Coffee. I didn't just leave my coffee cup here. It's brought to you by Community Coffee. Where is his growth? So, I mean, not to spend too much time on Michael Boganowski, but
I would like to spend time.
Well, he's become a fan favorite, as you might imagine already. Where's his biggest growth still to come?
Well, I think it's in just learning the game of football. We take for granted sometimes. We want to see a 6'2", 210-pound guy that runs a 4.5 that's extremely violent, but there's a mental side of this game. And you know, heck, you've played at the highest level. I mean, yeah, it's one thing to have the physical skills, and those are all, that's a necessity to be successful. But obviously playing for Coach Venables, playing at the University of Oklahoma, playing in this defense, it's the mental aspect. That's why, you know, when I go out and recruit, I put such a high emphasis on the academic piece and just their ability to communicate, to process, to do all the other things that are required to be a great football player here. And I'll take a less talented player if I feel like he's got those mental abilities, capacity, whatever you want to say, to be successful in what we do.
How do you think, I've heard several of the players talk about, since Zach Alley took over the defense, it seems like things are maybe a little more streamlined, and that maybe they have a better understanding of their assignments out there. Like, is that the sense you get from your guys, is that things have, I hate the word simplified because there's nothing simple about what you guys do on defense, but have you seen those young guys be able to absorb this defense maybe a little quicker than some young guys in the past?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different reasons for that. I mean, obviously, Coach Alley has put a premium on trying to group things, to make things as much of a same-ass thought process for those guys, which I think that's always a great trait, you know, of a great coach. You know, I've always emphasized that. But I think the second part is you've got some young guys, man, that we've brought into the program in recruiting. And I think in this day and time, I'm a big believer, man, that you recruit guys that you truly believe that can mentally and physically get on the field right now. And I think that you're seeing the recruiting that we've done the last 2 years start to pay off.
How about Billy Bowman? What about his senior season, final season so far? It's still fun to see him out there, man.
You know what's weird for a lot of people is they judge him based off of the interceptions, right? And he's getting all these accolades, and everybody, well, Billy's not. Here's the issue. One, our defensive line has improved considerably. You know, Coach Bates has done just with those interior guys, big bodies and such as that. But two, Billy, like, he's grading so much higher than he graded last year.
Wow.
But you don't see the production because the ball is not getting to the second and third level as much. So unfortunately, or fortunately, as a safety, right, and as a safeties coach, the ball's not getting to the second and third level as much. And that's because of the scheme. The players are doing a lot better job. But Billy's still Billy. I mean, I think he's one of the best players in the country. I think his passion, I think his desire to you know, you talk to people all the time, they say, well, he's the most competitive person that I've been around when it comes to day in and day out preparation. You know, if I had the opportunity to go start a company or to start a football team or whatever it was, I want somebody with his mentality because he wants to be the best no matter what he does. And you know, it's funny. His dad told me a story about one time when I guess they were playing, you know, football, Madden or something, and his dad beat him, and then Billy slept in the car. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? When they were young, and so he just doesn't want to lose, man. But at the same time, he's loyal, he's caring, he loves his teammates, he loves Oklahoma, and so it's rare to find that.
You got to have those hyper-competitive guys. They set the tone in the room. How have you seen that attitude, that approach affect all these young guys in your room?
Well, they know he's the standard, and you can tell when he's not there. You know, there's this sense of urgency. Even me as a coach, if Billy's not an individual or he's not taking reps, you don't feel, and I'm not saying that a lot of those other guys don't, but it's just he brings an edge. That there's no jacking around. I mean, everybody needs to be locked in, and that he's the first guy to let you know, hey, this ain't right, or hey, you need to do this, or you need to do that. But it comes from a place of respect, and that's what great leaders do. They earn the right to lead, and I think that from a defensive perspective, one of the biggest things for me and him coming back was that he brings just a unique sense of just a respect from the players, and you got to have that so that you don't have to constantly be the bad guy, and they know, hey, yeah, he's in that locker room with us, he's in that huddle. If he says it, it's true, it's real.
It's good stuff. We got one more segment. We'll talk about Peyton Bowen, Robert Spears Jennings, and the Missouri Tigers instead of the Coach's Corner with Brandon Hall.
We want to thank all of our Sooner Radio Network affiliates across the state and region. Fans can check out Soonersports.com for an affiliate in your area. And if you're traveling outside the state of Oklahoma, you can listen to all the action on either SiriusXM Radio or download the Varsity Network app and listen free. Walden Cleaners and Laundry, where the difference is quality.
Waits for the football. Now he's got it. Low snap. Hands it off. Martin has a hole over the left side. First down, 35. Bounced it outside. Popped the ball loose, and it's recovered. Robert Spears Jennings knocked it out. Then he jumped on it right in front of the Sooner sidelines. And Oklahoma's defense has forced a turnover for the first time in the last 3 games. That is the 4th forced fumble of the year for Robert Spears Jennings, who leads the SEC in that category. Second one is recovered.
Welcome back. That's Brandon Hall's guy, Robert Spears Jennings. I think my favorite part of that is in the background how mad Coach Venables is at someone.
Oh yeah, doesn't even acknowledge it. He's walking. Yeah. He's walking to somebody. He's about to get him right. Somebody's about to get right.
There may have been a player that should have angled into a gap and did not.
Once he's all in on the correction, it doesn't matter if you win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That guy's getting corrected.
And you're going to get it right next time. Danny was giving Robert grief because he thought he should have scooped and scored there. But that was a big coaching point for you guys last week. Punch the ball out, wasn't it?
You know, it's funny, and you actually, we always talk about in situations why, and for us, you're looking for certain cues or answers that let you know that, hey, they're listening. And, of course, RJ, on numerous occasions, a couple weeks ago had the one where he popped it out as the guy was going in the end zone and against Texas, and then here, and he'll point blank tell you, yeah, Coach, we talk about it all the time, and you get in that position, man, you just naturally happens, and so it's cool to see that happen. He's done a great job with that.
You may think it naturally happens. I've said he just has the best coach in the country coaching him.
So
that's why
I will let Coach Venables know that he is very effective with those safeties. So I just coach him some of the time.
That's great. Now, big one this weekend. Wide receiver wise, they got some dudes.
They do. They're very talented.
So I have to imagine your guys are excited for the opportunity, excited to go against guys of the caliber of Luther Burden and Theo Weiss.
Good player, man, both of them. Yeah, I think as much as anything, where we're at in the season, what's at stake as a program, as a team, as a defense. I just think the fact that there's a lot of goals that we can still accomplish that are out there, and then again, like you said, being able to go on the road and play against a team that was I think a preseason top 10 team. Obviously they've had, they've lost a game or two, but at the same time, we know that they've got great players. And if they hadn't, then obviously their preseason ranking and their ranking would not reflect that. And we're fully aware of what we're up against, and we got to play great, and we got to be focused, and we got to start off fast, and we got to start, we got to play well, in the second half. And I think those guys are up to that challenge and looking forward to going up there and playing.
I know it's a question that I think I know your answer to it, but we have to ask anyway. Does anything change if it's Cook or Pine that's out there for you guys at all?
I think you got to prepare for both, and I think the reason I say that is because at the end of the day, the quarterback is one thing, but you're dealing with the philosophy of the offensive coordinator and the head coach. And at the end of the day, this is a team that philosophically won't change. It may change the philosophy of some of the play calling, but at the end of the day, they're the type of team that's going to run the stretch. They're going to run the inside zone, and they're going to have shot plays off of all that, regardless of who's. I mean, your job's in offense is to score points, and so if that's what you do, then that's how you're going to do it. So.
You mentioned the stretch. I think it's the first team that you guys have played that's their core play.
Yep.
And they run it at a high level. They've done it for a couple years now. It's not quite as effective as it was for them last season, but at the safety spot, a lot of people think, oh, you're defending wide receivers, pass coverage. How important is it for your guys to come up in the run fit and play that stretch play well?
Well, that's the whole deal of playing great defense. You got to stop the run first, and the whole key to being great on defense is how much give and take can there be. All right, how many guys can we, put in the passing game, but at the same time steal as a halfway player versus the run. And this is a week where we've got to do a good job of that because, like you said, they've got some very talented receivers. They got some big playability, but they can also, like you said, they have a great scheme with their stretch plays and again, like I said, the inside zone, and we're going to have to show up. Their offense coordinator, their head coach do a great job of putting you in some run-pass conflict. And, man, you get, like I tell my guys, you got to be slow to go, but once you go, go. And we got to do a great job this week of showing up in the run game.
During your time at Auburn or at Oklahoma, you ever play or coach there?
We're at Missouri?
Missouri, yeah.
So when we were at Auburn, we played them in the Big 12 championship. And and lost to them.
SEC championship.
SEC championship. Yeah, not Big 12. I'm sorry. SEC championship. This 2012. Been a long time ago. SEC championship. 2012. We played Missouri, and then I was at Troy, and we went up there and got beat pretty handily by them. My first year as a coordinator there. So
seems like a pretty cool environment. I mean, Gabe talks about you play there.
It's funny. I always play them the same time of year, so it's always kind of cold and dreary every time we go. Of course, you got the tall trees and stuff, so it's a cool atmosphere. Seems like a really nice place. Seems like a nice town.
Yeah. We haven't talked about one of your guys. And to wrap up, maybe we should. How about Peyton Bowen this year and what you've seen from him?
You know, he's been limited a little bit. He's been banged up.
Right.
Obviously, if people pay attention, they probably see that on the field. One of the smartest players on the team. You know, somebody that had a huge role earlier in the year, but at the end of the day, trying to physically just get him back in a position to where he can be at 100% or as close to as possible. You know, my job as a coach is to win games, obviously, to play well, but at the same time, I want to make sure that the welfare of the players is first. And sometimes that's hard, man. Trying to get your best 11 on the field, but at the same time, you don't want to put a kid in a position to where he has something that could cost him even more time. You know, obviously, we've seen that at the receiver position, and that's hard for fans. It's hard for coaches. But just trying to get him back in the position to be the player that he can be and the player that we know he will be here at Oklahoma.
Do you just close your eyes when he's returning punts? How do you handle that? Do you just go, please?
You know the great thing about iPads is you just keep watching the next, you know what I mean?
And you're over there logging screen time while he's returning punts.
Well, I got him and Billy both are returners. I'm like, right. Come on, man. Come on, man. Really?
Hey, we've got a minute left, but I do want to ask, because Coach Alley, like, we don't even have a guy up in the booth anymore because the iPads changed the game so much. What is that? How has that helped you as a coach having the iPads now with the video?
I like it. I didn't think I would. I know Coach Venables had made a comment about, you know, how he doesn't, you know, it's kind of taken a little bit of aspect out of the game.
Sure.
What's crazy is by the time you get to Sunday, you've watched the game like 30 times because, like, you know, you're literally going through the corrections. But for me, being OCD, like, I'm able to correct, like, alignments and stance and just every little detail in that series that you never saw before because you just see the play and you see the scheme. And now you see the alignment and the stance and the effort and all those little things that you're able to, like, nip in the butt, so to speak. And I think you save yourself a lot of issues. You know, to me, like, how many times have you seen a big play twice? That to me is when it really becomes an issue because now, I mean, you've got the answer to the test. You just got to show them the answer. And so that part of it's been good. Yeah,
it's been fun to watch. Thanks for your time, Coach. We appreciate it. Good luck this weekend.
God bless.
Yep. We'll wrap up Coach's Corner next with Eichert's Intel and a preview of Missouri. Stick around.
OU's 2024 football games are available on Exodus 96.5 FM in Oklahoma City and 101.5 FM El Patron in Tulsa, as well as on those stations' websites. Each OU Spanish broadcast will feature a 30-minute pregame show and a 15-minute postgame show. The Sooner Sports Podcast is your all-access audio pass to Sooner Sports. Listen as Toby Rowland and Chris Plank talk all things Sooners. New episodes drop every day. Log on to Soonersports.com/podcast or search Sooner Sports Podcast in your favorite podcast provider. Presented by Allstate and Riverwind Casino. Thank you to our cornerstone television partners, OU Health, OG&E, Fowler Auto Group, and Coca-Cola.
Our final segment, as always, is brought to you by Riverwind Casino. It's Gabe on Plank and putting a wrap on Coach's Corner. Looking ahead to Missouri on Saturday night, I did the work of looking at the weather. That's no bueno. It looks like it's going to be low 50s, high 40s at night, 80% chance of rain all day long. We talked about it with the coaches, ball security, things of that nature. Can you put the sleeves back on that hoodie to make sure we're good or no?
No, because the bottom of these, the sleeves were red and it looked ridiculous, so I cut them off.
Well, it's going to be hoodie, jacket, glove weather on Saturday night. But we know this much. As Bob Moore Ford breaks us our opponent preview, Missouri's a good football team. Now, they're battling some injuries, especially at the quarterback position with Effexim, but they had high hopes coming into this season and still have a lot in front of them.
There's no doubt about it. 6-2 football team, but they're not the same team if Brady Cook can't go. And if you look at the betting line, that would indicate that Brady Cook is not going to play
That's
in
right.
this football game, right? There's been a big swing from that standpoint. Drew Pine has played a lot of football, been around a long time, but he does not have the ability, especially as a runner, that Brady Cook has. I think Missouri's defense is pretty good, though.
Yep.
I've been impressed with their defensive line as I've studied them throughout the week. They don't have a guy like a James Pierce from Tennessee or a Dylan Stewart from South Carolina, but they're solid across the board. In fact, they kind of remind me of our defensive line. Just really assignment sound, veteran guys that do their job. So I'm really excited to watch this matchup. I think it's going to be a great football game, and I think it's undoubtedly a game that the Sooners can go and win.
Eichert's Intel Time brought to you by Orthodontics exclusively as Oklahoma gets set for prime time in Columbia. Gabe, what do you want to see from the Sooners to come away with win number 6 on Saturday night?
I think the defense has to play well, and that starts with shutting down the outside zone run game for Missouri. We have not played an outside zone team all season long.
And you're a big fan of outside zone.
It's my favorite play in football. I think it's God's play. I think it's the best play ever. But we've played teams that run outside zone. We have not played an outside zone team. Missouri is an outside zone team. That is their core concept. You have to shut it down. You have to shut it down. And if you do that, especially if Drew Pine is playing quarterback for the Tigers, you're going to be in good shape. If you can get Drew Pine into second and long, third and long situations, even with Luther Burden and Theo Weiss at wide receiver, you have to feel good about your chances as OU's defense. And then offensively, continue to be efficient. Play with the efficiency that we've seen these last couple weeks. It's not going to be easy against the Missouri defense. They're solid. But if everyone does their job, if you can get Javante Barnes going in the run game a little bit, I think Jackson Arnold has a lot more confidence right now than he had earlier in the season, and I expect that to show up. I think he's excited for this opportunity on Saturday night, but I think the defense is the key for Oklahoma in this game. If the defense can go and play well, that can allow OU's offense to not have to press and do something they're not comfortable doing. And I think that's a good recipe for success for Saturday night.
Yeah, and it's going to be a capacity crowd, 11th straight sellout for Missouri. They're calling it a blackout.
They drive a fire truck around the field.
Wait, what?
Yeah, well, at least they did when we went there in 2010.
2010 was when you went there.
Let's not talk
about it.
Horrible fourth quarter.
Returned the
My
opening
gosh.
kickoff for a touchdown. They stormed the field. But it's also two programs that are very familiar with each other. Longtime rivals from the Big 8 into the Big 12.
Just because you play a
opponents.
lot.
Okay, long-time
does that
opponents.
make you a rival?
Long-time opponents.
Perfect.
There you go. But in our
Social media rivals, that's for sure.
Hey, let me tell you something. The social media beef between Sooner fans and Missouri fans is outstanding. It's something well worth the price of admission. But like in our final 20 seconds, anything different? It's an artificial surface. It's a little louder. What's that atmosphere like?
Handle the atmosphere. And when you go on the road in a hostile environment, you want to make sure all the pre-snap stuff is good.
Yep.
Then you got to execute the plays. But don't hurt yourself. Don't get yourself behind chains with pre-snap penalties.
6:45 on Saturday night, Oklahoma and Missouri. Can't wait to get to Columbia. For producer Jay, that's Gabe. I'm Chris Plank. We'll see you in Columbia. Until then, Boomer Sooner, everybody.
This has been the Riverwind Casino Coach's Corner, presented by Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Sooner Sports Network.